I'm joined by House Homeland Security Committee Chairman Peter King of New York and Democratic Congresswoman Lynn Woolsey of California. Thank you both for getting up early this morning. I want to kind of set the stage for this discussion by showing our viewers a couple of statistics. Since the second half of the Bush administration into the Obama administration, there have been a reported 302 drone strikes into northwest Pakistan, about 2,800 people killed, we are told, about 17% of them civilians. Again, these are hard to keep track of. These are not exact numbers, but it's the best estimate. Congresswoman, let me ask you, is anything about that troublesome to you? We are essentially launching these aerial vehicles and dropping or sending bombs into places, and it's fingerprintless. The U.S. Does it from someplace else. Are you worried about this at all?
Well, I know I am. It's such a trend to dehumanize warfare, and it's machines and computers doing the job. And you know what, Candy, this is not video games. These are real people, and it's real death, and we are making real enemies around the world by continuing with our drone program.
And Congressman King, does anything about this, certainly we can't argue that we want Americans to go in and risk their lives while doing this, because we want Americans protected. On the other hand, do you worry about U.S. imagery, and do you worry that there's never really been much of a debate about the use of these drones?
Ken, if you just bear with me for a second, because I'm in the Intelligence Committee, I can't officially acknowledge that we have a drone program. But assuming that we do, and assuming the press reports are accurate, I had to say that up front. Yeah, sure. No, I'm not concerned. My belief is that when you're in war, and we are in war, the idea is to kill as many of the enemy as you can with minimal risk of life to your own people. As far as the civilian casualties, every one of them is tragic. But the fact is, in every war, there's a large amount of collateral damage, of civilian casualties, whether it's World War II, whether it's the Korean War. And if we were using ordinary explosives, we would also have those type of civilian deaths. To me, American lives are being saved. The enemy is being killed. We have managed, and I give the president credit for this, to devastate core al-Qaeda. Primarily because of these type attacks, which did begin in the Bush administration, particularly in the last year of the Bush administration, and President Obama has followed them through. I'm not saying these are easy decisions to make, but life isn't easy, war isn't easy. I believe it's essential that we do complete the mission against al-Qaeda, and these drones are obviously a very effective way to do it with a minimal loss of American life.
Why are we not putting our energy into a different kind of security around the world, where we invest pennies on the dollar, Candy? We invest in diplomacy. We invest in helping other countries with their development needs, helping them when they want to. I mean, we shouldn't impose ourselves, but help them not be angry and not need al-Qaeda and want to be part of the world organization. Because I think what goes around comes around, and those drones are going to come right back at us.
And Congressman, what do you think about that? Because that question has been raised, certainly at the White House, from the press corps, saying, well, what if Russia suddenly decided to send drones into a place because there were terrorists that they thought were going to attack Russia? Would we be okay with that?
First, let me say, we never used drones before September 11th, and we still got killed. We had 3,000 Americans killed. So I don't believe drones were encouraging any attacks. What encourages attacks are weakness. And yes, I think we have to assume that the Russians would use drones if they could, just as we had to assume during the Cold War that they would use nuclear weapons. I mean, this isn't like golf where we have a handicap and you give somebody 8 strokes. The fact is, we have to use the weapons that we have. And we're up against al-Qaeda, which is a devious, evil enemy which wants to kill Americans. I wish we could all live in a world where we could hold hands and love each other. The fact is, that's not reality. We have an enemy that wants to kill us. I live in New York. I lost over 150 constituents on 9/11. And if we can save the next 150 by killing al-Qaeda terrorists with drones, then kill them. I have no compunctions about that whatsoever, and we have to assume there's always going to be an increase in weapons. This has been the history of mankind. That's why we have to make sure our defense budget is not weakened. Now, we stay ahead of the enemy, and that we are in a position to provide leadership. But again, this stuff about drones making enemies, we use no drones. The only time we used weapons during the 1990s was to defend Muslims in Bosnia and Kosovo, and then they turned around, Al-Qaeda turned around and attacked us on 9/11. There's evil people in the world. Drones aren't evil. People are evil. We are a force of good, and we are using those drones to carry out the policy of righteousness and goodness.